I'm a board game designer. Did you know that?
I would hope at some point we would consider ourselves board game designers.
I'm already there. I don't know if you've said it yet.
I feel like you trapped me once.
I did, yeah. I remember that now.
Go on, though. Tell me why you're a board game designer today.
Well, I made a game for my students. You've played Flip 7?
No.
What? Get out of here. You're not even a board game player.
You're not wrong.
Flip 7 is really popular right now. Board Game Casual's got a video review on it. Press your luck game. You know how I really like Can't Stop. Flip 7, kind of the same thing. You're flipping cards over and deciding when to stop.
I lied. I have played it.
Go on.
That's all. I played it once.
But I modified it for my students, and I've called it Flip 5. I've reduced the number of cards. I've reduced the values. Instead of up to 12, it's 0 through 10. Changed the rules just a little bit, but made a version of that game for my students, and they love it. It's great.
It's a classroom full of mini-yous.
Yes.
I'm Hunter Pence, and you're listening to the Misplay podcast. Oh, yeah.
Hello, and welcome to the Misplay, where we try a third jump instead of up special in Smash Bros. Ultimate. My name is Mark.
My name is Jason. None of those words made sense to me, Mark. You crushed me in Smash Brothers, but somewhere here there's a misplay. Was it in our game?
Yeah.
It's like a third jump instead of an up special.
So, you know there are 3 buttons, right? You have your, punches and kicks, you have your special powers,
Yes.
and you have your jump button.
What does the other button do? Because there's 4.
I don't think that one does anything. And we're not even talking about the bumpers for grabs and shield and dodge.
You can use the bumpers? This is why you destroyed me.
Let's simplify. Those 3 main buttons: jump, special powers, punches and kicks. You get 3 jumps in the game, generally. You get a first jump.
So you jump,
Uh-huh.
and before you hit the ground,
You get a second jump.
okay?
Most of the characters in the game, if you push the up direction and your special power button, you get a third jump that helps you come back from falling off the screen.
So regular jump, I jump. Then I press regular jump again, and while I'm still in the air coming down, presumably, I can continue my jump somehow.
Yeah, with up and special.
I have to press special and jump.
Yes.
Okay, go
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
That's all. It
How
helps
is that a third jump? That seems like a second jump.
The up special button gives you a third jump.
Where was the second jump?
But you're in the air.
I thought you said I had to press the special. This is why I don't understand
I'm
this
going to
game.
show you later. Take my word for it for a second.
Okay.
I'm having a hard time remembering which button is which on a Switch controller. And so I tried to do my third jump by pressing the regular jump button, and I just fell off and died. The end.
You still won the round, the match.
Details.
I'd like to get better at it. I don't understand the game at all. It's just arcade Smash for me.
We'll work on it. There are a lot of characters to unlock. If the pace of Smash Brothers is a little quick for you, the pace of Under One Sky is a little fast for me. Things will move very quickly.
I feel like we have just rolled the snowball to the top of the hill and we're about to push it and everything's just going to fly.
Summer is not really going to be summer, is it? As we lead into Gen Con.
I'm working.
I'm also working.
Okay, yeah, we don't have a summer.
But art is done-ish. Manufacturer chosen. Logistics guy quoted. KublaCon playtest prepared. Jason's crunching the numbers on landed cost. What does that all mean for, dare I ask, where are we?
I saw that question in the show doc and I was wondering if you had the answer. What does all of that mean?
What I hope it means is that as we go into Gen Con, we're on target with our roadmap and our plan, because the plan is use Gen Con as the springboard into a fall launch for Kickstarter or crowdfunding.
Yes, that's what it all means. Good job, Mark.
Great. Let's pack it up. See you next time.
We'll talk more about that in a second. This week's episode is brought to you by Board Game Casual. Board Game Casual's YouTube channel, welcoming people into the board game hobby with video reviews, recommendations, unboxings, tips for accessorizing on a budget, and more. One thing I noticed recently, Board Game Casual will sometimes spotlight other creators, some big, some small like us. And through Board Game Casual, I ended up watching a lot of content from Actual. And my point is just, it's refreshing to see people genuinely highlighting other people's work. So give Board Game Casual a view at Board Game Casual channel on YouTube at Board Game Casual channel.
Give me a Summer the Thing, Jason.
The Thing.
After work today, when we sat down, you're like, Mark, I have a thing to show you. And then you showed me one thing. and you showed me another thing, and then you showed me another thing, and then you showed me another thing, and then you showed me another thing. And I was like, wow, the things are really coming together into what feels like it's going to be a really cohesive whole. So I thought it would be a nice check-in, a nice thing to share with our listeners, to go through that list of things that you shared with me and use that as our jumping off point for leading into summer, because you're working, but you're also KublaConing. We're also going to Gen Con. Summer is like a big time for where we are in the Under One Sky project.
Where do you want to begin?
Let's start with the art, just because I think that's the prettiest, most interesting part to me. And then we'll go into the details of manufacturing and landed cost and what is it, FCS, FTS?
FSC.
FSC. We'll go into all of those alphabet soup things about how the manufacturer has come to be and where we're going with all of that.
Well, our artist C has been working on the art for a little over a month now. And I showed you today some pictures. I showed you some pictures of the star charts. I showed you pictures of the constellation cards. And you've seen the cover, what the cover is going to be. I think the thing that stood out in our conversation was the constellation cards, because I had that conversation with Randy O'Connor. And one of the things he had said to me was, do you really want to be writing on cards? Do people like that? That was a legacy component of the game that months ago I felt really strong about. And then after conversations with Randy, I was like, I brought it to you guys and said, what do you guys think? And I think we had both independently been thinking about it. We hadn't spoken about it much, because when I first started talking about it today, you were like, maybe we just don't have it in the game anymore.
Yeah, I think kind of two things. One, it was never an idea that I was especially attached to. And two, the difference in how the front of the constellation card looks with the space, the rectangle to do the labeling of the legacy component versus how it looks without. The art is beautiful. It doesn't need the legacy piece.
And I was with you, and unbeknownst to you, I tried to tackle that problem and I hadn't shown you yet, because I got the constellation cards back, and just like in all of our prototypes, it's, a white box where it looks pretty obvious that you're supposed to write something there. And we can show that in the rule book, and we can show that in videos, that when you discover a constellation, you get to name it. But it just never looked good. And Randy had said to me, a lot of people don't like writing on their cards. They don't want to do that. I think about it myself. I hate my own handwriting. So that made sense to me. And so what I said to our artist, C, I said, reinvent this. Don't put this box here. There's no more white box. But I would like them to be able to write in the constellations still, if they want. And with what Z came back with, and I showed you today, what did you think?
I mean, I will never get tired of looking at the art for this game, I don't think. And Z used the space so nicely compared to just having that ugly rectangle that really took me out of the immersive experience of the art, the game, the mood, the affect. We haven't talked about it in a long time, but I do think Z's art leans and captures that quality of obligationless summer evening with your friend.
That's a great obligationless. I like that. And so the card has the constellation on the bottom, really the bottom 3/4. But what happens with the art? The art is kind of surrounding the grid. And then what it does is, and it's not like a gradient fade to nothing. We have this cream color in our color palette. And so what happens is the background just kind of like fades away a little bit and leaves the whole top of the card in that cream color. And it looks good just on its own. But it's also a space where we can say, if you want, name the constellation. You discovered it, you won, you name it. Grab yourself a Sharpie, write a name there. It'll look good with or without a name.
I think that's one of the things we need to continue discussing. I'm less convinced you don't like your handwriting. My handwriting is atrocious. I wouldn't want to look at a card with extra Sharpie.
Well, I think that's the thing we're saying. We're saying if you don't want to, you don't have to. We'll present it as an option. Maybe you're saying we shouldn't present it as an option.
I'm saying I think we should spend a little more time thinking about whether or not we want to present it as an option or not.
In either case, I do think the card art is okay, no matter which way we go. One of the things that I've always wanted to avoid, though, is when I look at the constellations, I see what I see. I've always seen a rocket with that one card, or I've always seen a staircase. But we want the game to feel like you're looking up at the stars and you can see whatever it is you want to see, or see it in a different perspective, in a different way, or from a different angle. And then it's something else. I think we are 100% never going to write the rocket and just name the constellation for the people who are buying the game. Whether or not we allow them or encourage them to write on the card is something we can still talk about.
Fair enough. Art check. I know you said kind of the next and or last big piece is finishing up the box design.
That's the part that personally, as somebody who's never done this before, is the part that scares me the most. The manufacturer is giving us what we need with the template. But, when I look at the back of a board game box, what do you typically see? You typically see the components. You see pictures of the components. I don't know what they look like yet. So I can't really create the back of the box yet. If we want to do it the way that most people do it, where they show what the components look like, along with some description of the game, and then you've got your legal things that you have to put on it. That part still scares me because I don't know how to do that yet. At some point I'm going to learn and I can talk about it on the podcast, but I don't know how to create the back or the side of the box yet.
But we have the art, and so we'll put the art for the box on hold with all of the extra considerations. And let's move into manufacturing, I suppose.
Well, I think art's a good lead-in because one of the things that we've been trying to do is get pre-production copies. So when we go to Gen Con, we would like to have copies that look like a real game. It's not going to be exactly what the final product looks like, but it'll be pretty close. So in order to do that, we have to submit all of the art. The box won't look right for sure, but hopefully we'll get a really good idea of what the game board's going to look like, what the constellation cards will look like, what the tiles will look like. So we had to make a decision on the manufacturer because we could have went back and forth, and I will give credit to everybody who has responded to us. That was Hero Time, that was Magic Craft, that was Long Pack, that was What's. And they didn't respond to me just once. We worked through the quote. I talked about what the tiles were, and through conversations with all of their representatives, I realized that we need to be the UV press tiles and not the heat transfer wooden tiles. And I just picked up things all along the way, talking to all of them. And they were all so great. I can't pick all four to manufacture the game. We have selected a manufacturer. Eventually, we'll share that. I don't think right now we want to share it because we want to talk a little bit more about some of the details in the quotes that we got and, why we chose this manufacturer versus other manufacturers.
I'll take this as my one spreadsheet win. You showed me 2 spreadsheets. We were talking about landed cost and other factors that are going to increase it. And there's a column that says waiver all the way down. And you were talking about the tooling cost. And I was like, look, it's waived on this one. So that'll be my star business contribution. Our tooling cost will be waived.
Because I actually thought there was a tooling cost for both of them, and then it was just one. What we ended up eventually doing was getting it down to 2 manufacturers and looking very closely at their quotes. And, one of the things, Mark, I think with this project that we're doing that is different than a lot of other companies is be as transparent as possible. I'm going to tell you the landed cost for both of those right now. I don't think that's something a lot of board game companies want to just put out there. I don't know. I don't hear that a lot. I don't hear companies telling you, hey, we're selling you this game for $30, but we only paid $1.25 to make it and another $3 to ship it. They don't tell you what that number is. That's going to be perfectly clear to the people who are purchasing our game. We're going to tell you exactly what our landed cost is. Right now, the quotes that we've gotten back from the manufacturers, we were between 2. One was $3.25, another was $3.69, but that also included a mold tooling fee that would have pushed it closer, if not exactly, to $4.
Well, and you didn't only get one quote from everybody because there were adjustments. You found out you needed to use the UV press. We went through a process of moving from wood to cardboard, and you got specific language about how to ask for the all recycled materials. FSC?
FSC, yeah.
Did I get it right?
You got it.
Those kinds of changes also changed the itemization. How did some of those considerations and that discussion of different processes, I know kind of the goal was to bring things down, but the recycled materials doesn't bring it down, it brings it up. So take us through a little bit of what that conversation looked like as you moved knobs and changed things within the itemizations with the manufacturers.
Yeah, initially the quotes were a little bit lower. One of the things that I discovered through the GDC when I went there to playtest, we had said from the very beginning that we didn't want plastics. That was something we just new right away. We don't want any plastics. I'm not an expert on sustainability. I'm just like, yeah, no plastics in the game. Well, it turns out there's a lot more just beyond that. And Randy O'Connor had mentioned it to me as well, that at this GDC talk, Carol Mertz had talked about the questions you should be really asking the manufacturer. If you ask them for a quote, and what I did, I said, hey, sustainability is really important to us. That was in my initial email to everybody, but everybody came back with just the normal, regular old materials. And what I found out that you needed to ask was specifically if their materials were FSC certified. So that is Forest Stewardship Council certificate. That's what it stands for. And those products are much more sustainable and they cost a bit more. There's different levels of that. And I had to specifically ask. Then they gave me those quotes. So it was like an extra round of asking, not only for that, but for like the bag. The bags all changed as well to a more sustainable cotton textile.
Well, speaking of the bag and the other ancillary components, and in the interest of bringing landed cost down, even though we're going with our recycled materials, our FSC materials, the standees, they're expensive.
Oh, yeah.
They stand out.
Clever. One of the things we noticed was the standees, for some reason right now, they seem really expensive. They're like 32 cents for two of them with the FSC materials. I still think there's some misunderstanding of exactly how big they are or, the weight to them or what they are. I'm hoping that comes down. But Mark's like, let's just take the standees out.
I'm saving you 32 cents.
It's a lot of money. It
per
adds
unit.
Up. Per unit, it adds up.
I speak business now.
You do. We're not taking the standee out. Those people are going to pay for that standee and they're going to like it. I want to make the standee actually, like if cost is no object, little telescopes that hold your constellation card. That would be beautiful.
It'd be very beautiful. Sounds a lot like an idea of, we should make the game really aesthetically beautiful. Oh, but we are making the game really aesthetically beautiful. The art is beautiful. Also, the star chart art has your telescope in it, so you don't need the standee.
You got to have the standee. Hopefully for just a little less money than what we're paying right now.
The standees can go stand over there. You've shared our landed cost. You also made contact with our logistics guy.
Yeah, so Randy gave me another great hookup to somebody named David at Atron Global. When I first reached out, I didn't have a pallet count. I now know that the games are going to be on 2 pallets. So eventually I was able to give them the approximate weight and the pallet count and where you would pick up from. And they gave me a quote. They told me it would be you can't lock it in yet because things change all the time. So when we get there, it's approximately somewhere in the neighborhood of like $1,600 for paying them to pick up and deliver it, plus all the additional customs and taxes and government fees we're going to have to pay. I think it's going to put us right around $2,500. That's my guess. So the game costs, let's say $3.25 right now, and the shipping is going to cost about $2.50 per game. Add those together, you've got...
Did we get to our $5 landed cost?
I just wanted you to say landed cost. Yeah, it's a little bit more than $5. It's under $6. Personally, for me, I think I've always been like, if we can be under $7, I'm happy. And I still think we can sell the game for $25, even though that's not a 5X. It's closer to a 4X. So I think where we're going to be is going to be about 4X, and it should be a little under $6. I'm happy with that. I know we could make it more beautiful and we can make it more expensive, but there's only X amount of money that I can afford. We have to pay for all of this before we really sell it.
That's one of the things that I think I have neglected or intentionally shuttered out of my mind. When you start talking initially, when you're like, we're going to get 1,500 units. I was like, that sounds really expensive. And then you're like, we're going to do 1,000 instead. And I'm like, that still sounds really expensive. I know we've kind of committed to the process at this point, but we want to have a plan to offset some of that cost. So knowing what our itemization is and what our shipping is, and now we have our kind of rough estimate of our true landed cost. Where does that leave us and what are our next steps?
I'll start by saying there were manufacturers where we could go lower than 1,000. It felt like the standard was around 1,500. Some companies would do 1,000 minimum order quantity, and there were some companies that would do less. 2 of the companies that we talked to, doing less was just a normal part of their form. You want to do 500, do 500. Cost goes up pretty significantly when you move from 1,000 to 500. So paying for 500 games and paying for 1,000 games, don't get me wrong, you're still paying less for the 500, but it's not significant. So 1,000 has always been the sweet spot of like what we're willing to invest, you and I, into the game. We are not anticipating that we're going to sell 1,000 games on Kickstarter in our campaign. The number that I'm targeting will be 200. I think if we can get to 200 in our Kickstarter campaign, that's success. And so we're selling the game at $25. Now, we also have to keep in mind that there are Kickstarter fees, right? We're not going to get all of that money. We're going to have to pay taxes. So our 5X cost that we've been aiming for, is really about covering a lot of those things. And even though our landed cost is going to be close to $6 and we're selling the game for $25, we don't make $19 selling the game. We have to pay the artist. Well, we've already paid the artist, but we have to put that into the cost of the game. There are additional issues that we're going to run into with shipping. There are, as I mentioned, the Kickstarter fees. So I don't actually know what the actual profit number per game would be. I think if we can just get out of the red in any way, that's great. We have sunk a lot of time. We started this podcast 2 years ago. I don't know what my hourly rate is for working on this game.
You don't want to know.
It's pennies. But I think if we can sell 200 copies of the game on Kickstarter, that will give us, quote unquote, $5,000, right? 25 times 200, that's going to give us $5,000. I think that is enough to say we can do this. We would lose a little bit of money, but we would have 800 other copies of the game. Where they're going to go, I don't know. But I can sell them slowly in different places, whether that is a local game store, 5 copies out of 800 at, the Game Market West. We can sell them online through our website. So I'm hoping we sell more than 200. I don't want to warehouse 800 games in my garage. I think we can sell more. I think we can get to 500. That's been my actual target of what I really deem success. 200 lets us do it. We'll do it if we get 200. I think if we get to 500, that's like my real marker for success. And then we would have 500 games that we can sell over time. One of the things that Randy had pointed out to me that I didn't know, in order to keep your copyright for your game, you have to continually sell it. I didn't know that. So I always need a few copies on hand to sell for the next 10 years to keep my copyright.
Sell 998 and keep 2. They're still for sale.
You can do that. So shoot for 200, aim for 500. And if we do anything more, we have knocked it out of the park.
Knocked it out of the park, he says.
Knocked it into the sky? Over the moon. Over the moon. We went over the moon.
We shot the moon? That's a card game thing.
That is a card game thing.
Okay, tall order. I see the numbers. Been a minute since we looked at the roadmap. I took a glance at it. We had the art setback.
Yes.
We fell a little behind on the art. Taking the time to rethink the artwork has given us something that fits more with the theme and affect and tone of the game that we were aiming for.
Yeah, one thing we really haven't talked about, even in Discord, let alone on the podcast, is initially we had started working with an artist who we really like, who's a wonderful person, and created some cool sample cover arts for us. One of them I still like. It's so good. I really like that one, the grid in the sky. And I'm going to hang on to that always. But we had decided after, several rounds of revisions, we said, it's not quite meeting the need or the vision that we don't even fully understand we want. And to Mark Gagne's credit, who is a wonderful illustrator and graphic designer, he was like, cool. And that was always his process, the way he worked with us, the way he had set up, even the informal contract with us. We had reached out to somebody that we both knew locally and personally who was an artist, but not a specific board game artist, but somebody who is a terrific and wonderful artist who was willing to try to figure that out with us. And that fit what we were kind of seeing in our head.
Also, that kind of stumble in the dark into what we're doing is really on brand for us.
And in a couple of weeks, I will be able to post a lot of those images in Discord and on Blue Sky. I'm just waiting. I don't want to post things that don't end up being what we think will be in the game. So that was one of the things that put us behind, because when I look at the roadmap too, and I look at where we should be for May, we kind of missed April. We kind of missed parts of March. We had wanted the art done sooner. And I think as long as we get it done in the next couple of weeks and get it to the manufacturer, we will have those copies in time for Gen Con. And that's critical.
But before we get to Gen Con, you're going to KublaCon this weekend. Or I guess you will have gone to KublaCon. It's a time travel episode.
Right. We are recording before KublaCon, but the episode's going to come out after KublaCon.
And we're using that as an opportunity to study one of the things that we've been thinking about making adjustment to, but haven't been able to pull the trigger. And with all the logistics work that's been happening, play testing the game and making those decisions about how the game will play has been a little bit on the back burner also.
Yes, I'm really eager to see what people will think. The mechanics of the game, we have said for a long time, are locked. The general mechanics and the flow of the game is locked. We're happy with it. We like it. We have said before we are looking for quality of life improvements. One of the things that have come up frequently, we've talked about it on the show before, is the task of replacing. So there's 3 tiles that we always have visible and out for either player to choose from. But right now we have them in a bag. You pick a tile from the shared pool, the shared sky, whatever we're going to call it. And then you have to reach into the bag and replace it. And that repeats over and over again. You take a tile, then you reach into the bag and you replace it. And you came around eventually because I said I didn't like it. And you're like, it's fine, it's fine. I think you were the one that even was like more vocal about it eventually. We're like, yeah, I kind of agree with you.
I think that's true. I mean, my tolerance for unpleasant things, I don't want to call it unpleasant because it's not unpleasant.
And it might still be the way and we should be careful, right? Because it might still be the way we ship the game.
My tolerance for repetitive things is reasonably high. But the thing that actually really swung me was there was a components consideration that kind of got locked out because we're talking about having the bag and the draw method versus, what was it, a little stack, like a Jenga tower assembler that the tiles just slot into.
And this came from a GDC playtest session where I was asking them how they felt about the bag, and they came up with this idea just to put them in 3 stacks of 9 and then play with them. And we did. We tested it, and that was how we kind of got started down this path.
The playtest copies that we've been playing with are 3 different tile colors. And so we were really grappling with how that presents the complexity if there's already some amount of decision paralysis and how you have to think ahead or how players may or may not choose to think ahead.
When you have 3 stacks of the tiles out, you can see what color the tiles are all the way down to the bottom. So you could plan your game in a way to get to the tiles that you want. And it just adds, as he's saying, another layer of complexity that we didn't necessarily want.
But manufacturers came back to us and were like, well, it's going to be much more expensive to have the tiles be 3 different colors, right?
Yeah.
And so now all the tiles are going to be one color. And so you remove that factor and now it's just, like easy quality of life adjustment. You just shuffle the tiles after you play your game or before you play, throw them in the container, and then you go from there.
For this week at KublaCon, I have 3D printed a little Jenga tower where we can put 3 stacks of 9. You can't see the tiles underneath it, but when you lift up a tile, you will then see the one that's below it. And by doing that, you don't have this back and forth with the bag. Maybe you can focus more on your gameplay. I'm eager to see what people think about it. So I have to get them for 2 tests. I need them once to play with the bag and once to play with our Jenga tower.
And then the post-game debrief is, which one did you enjoy more? Why? Or what are your thoughts on the difference between the 2?
Yep.
I hope it goes well. I'm looking forward to hearing about it.
I'm really looking forward to this weekend because aside from Gen Con, I haven't had real dedicated all day things where I can just be out board gaming. And my partner has been nice enough to give me the time to do that for KublaCon too.
I don't know if you'd call it the elephant in the room, but would you call it the elephant in the stadium?
Go on.
Lucas Oil Stadium? We have Gen Con.
There was just so much more to talk about. I've been so excited. I've been posting on Blue Sky. So this year at Gen Con, we are going to the first exposure playtest hall like we did last year. But we also signed up to run events through the Gen Con event catalog for our game. I could have run an event for any game. I could have done a Flip 7 event if I wanted to. So people can sign up and just run events. You can charge money for those, or they can be free. I think they encourage you to charge $2 to offset their cost a little bit. But we signed up 6 slots for Under One Sky, our game, to demo. And, it was so long ago that I wrote the description and I realized, I should probably update the description because we took the word friendly out at one point, a friendly race. So we put our events in the catalog. Mark, I honestly did not expect anybody to find it, let alone sign up for it, let alone say, it's worth $2. I'll pay the $2 ticket, meet Mark and Jason from the Misplay and play their game.
That's definitely why people are going to do it.
Well, you're laughing at that, but I think that might be the biggest draw, to be honest with you. And I'm not trying to downplay the game, but I do think there is something to, if you're a listener and you're going to Gen Con, let's go over and meet Mark and Jason.
Reasonable. I guess I was discounting the possibility of the number of attendees that will be at Gen Con. How many of them are going to be Misplay listeners?
Yeah, there's not many, but tickets are going fast. If you are listening right now, head over to the Gen Con event page, type in Under One Sky. We have 6 events. Mark, we've sold out 3 of them.
Oh, I only saw the screenshot of the first one being sold out.
Yeah, we sold out 3 of them.
Does that mean our game is cool?
No, I don't think that's what that means, but it's something. I'm shocked. And this is the first weekend. I don't know how how people found it. Like what you have to type to specifically find our game, I have not attempted yet. One of the cool things so we can see the names of the people who have bought tickets. And look, they might all change their minds and they can get their money back. You can change your ticket up until the last minute. So maybe nobody shows up. One of the things that I thought was really cool and something I noticed and something we have to think about with marketing is when I see the ticketed names, it's often two people with the same last name. So they have a connection, right? Siblings, family, maybe they're partners. And I was like, that's who our game is for. It's helping me find the market.
We found our audience.
But going back to metaphors, I'm over the moon.
I was going to say seeing stars, but that's different. Nobody got kicked in the face.
Yeah, that's different. I mean, you're a game designer at that point, right, Mark?
I mean, people have now paid to play your game.
Right?
I guess.
We're going to have the pre-production copies of the game, but I still feel like, they're playtesting a prototype and they're paying a little money to do that. When I worked at my college library, once I discovered how you could just cancel late fees, anyone who came up to me with a fee was like, oh, sorry, this book's late. I have to, it's $1.20. I'm like, no, I clear it. It's fine. I was terrible. I cost my library, it's probably only came out to hundreds of dollars, but I cost my college library hundreds of dollars. And so I've been thinking about what we can do for the people who come and play the game. They've paid $2. Here's my thought.
Give them a coaster.
I gotta give them more than a coaster. But that could be a thing, right? A small merch item, a Misplay merch item. That's a good idea. My thought was give them free shipping on the Kickstarter.
Oh, that's great.
Are they going to necessarily back the game? No, maybe not. Probably not. Statistically, obviously they're going to love it and want to play it again. But I think it could be a way to move people to the Kickstarter campaign as well. Maybe they weren't going to buy it, but hey, I'm getting free shipping. I'm in. So, or maybe they tell other people about it, because I have done events at Gen Con. No one's ever given me anything. So maybe this is a little different. Maybe it's a way to stand out a little bit. Maybe it helps generate a little bit of word of mouth. Like, hey, I went to this event. It was really cool. The game was fun. Mark and Jason were cool. And they also gave me free shipping on their game if I back it on Kickstarter. That's cool too. That's my goal. That's what I'm thinking. But merch is a good idea too.
I think the follow-up then would be, we should probably hit a rotating thing of, oh, here, we're going to be at this place this evening demoing the game more. If you really want the word of mouth, you do the whole event thing, you offer the free shipping, and then you leave them with the, well, hey, if you want to bring a friend, if you had a good time, we're going to be at this hotel tonight demoing the game, hanging out, meeting people, playing other games. Come join us, say hi, give us a soundbite for the show.
That's a really good idea. We should definitely have more mics at the table. I also thought about in the hotel doing a tournament. Thought that would be fun.
Oh yeah, I'd play in that.
You can't play in it.
Why not?
You can't play in it.
Okay.
I mean, you wouldn't win it anyway.
It's true.
But I thought even for that level, we could give away a copy of the game to somebody who wins the tournament. If we get 8 people to sit down and play a bracketed tournament,
yeah,
I think giving them a game is cool.
Let's go.
Look at us.
This is the grassroots part of the outline that we didn't actually flesh out.
Yes, figuring out as we go. Because I know I have said before that I am not planning to drop $5K on advertising. That's low for, I think, what people do for the board games. I'm not dropping even $4K.
I'm not dropping
Let's go lower.
AK.
We have to do a tiny bit, just a few ads out there. But these grassroots things are the things that we've talked about wanting to do. Are they going to be successful? I don't know. But I would rather try something and have it not work out than drop $1,000 on an ad on Reddit and, get 2 or 3 people to buy the game from it.
Deal. Well, that sounds like a great summer plan. I know we didn't talk specifically about updating the roadmap. That's the trajectory for the summer. And then after Gen Con, building up to the launch, right?
That's the plan. We're not selling copies of the game. The thing we're going to try to do is move people to our Kickstarter notify page and get, hopefully hundreds of signups. That's our target. How we're going to do that, haven't figured out yet.
As I feel like I have to remind myself every episode, or you every episode, this is not our full-time job. And I know
part-time job now.
I know you're taking your game designer hat and applying it in other areas of your life. You've got a cool summer plan this year.
I do. I had the opportunity to teach a board game design class through a program here in San Francisco in the summer. And so for a couple of weeks, I'll have, a couple dozen students and we're going to build and design a board game. And I'm obviously being teachers, being educators, we're very comfortable in front of kids. And I think if I had to do this in front of adults right now, I would kind of be like, yeah, no, you shouldn't pick me for this. But in front of kids, I feel really confident that at this point, 2 years into our journey and documenting it and talking about it and thinking about it and creating not just one game, we've created several games. And as an educator, I have created lots of games for my classroom. I feel pretty confident that with students and with kids, I can give them the basics. I can tell them, the process systems for creating a board game and keeping it relatively simple to get it done inside a couple of weeks. So I reached out on Blue Sky and I went into the Golden Gate Game Makers Discord and I said, hey, I'm teaching this class. Does anybody know where I could get some donations for board game component materials? And a lot of people gave me lots of different advice. Even Elizabeth Hargrave had responded to me on Blue Sky. Mark, do you know who that is?
The designer for Wingspan.
Exactly. Yes. They responded and gave me some advice. And then another board game designer, Jonathan Woodward, had said, hey, reach out to GameCrafter. I'm like, oh, that's a really good idea. I was already actually in the process of looking at GameCrafter for prototype versions of our game. So I sent GameCrafter an email. Within 10 minutes, they had replied and said, yeah, no, we'd be happy to donate some components. I was thrilled. I was so excited. And I sent them my information. I paid for shipping, but they sent me $100 of board game components for the class. I've already received them. I'm excited to use them. So I just want to give a shout out to GameCrafter.
That's cool. I love how whenever you do something on Blue Sky, you're like, oh, and then this really cool thing happened. Way to go, Blue Sky. Way to go, Jason.
I love it. It's great. I've been really lucky, I think, reaching out to people, Hunter Pence, and getting people to respond.
Better lucky than good?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in Press Your Luck board games.
That's why you like them.
I think so. It's the only other event I've signed up for at Gen Con. Space. Do you know I'm ranked like 44th in the world right now, Mark? In Space on Board Game Arena.
Get to battling. The Misplay podcast is brought to you by Howley Boy Games. Consider donating at buymeacoffee.com/themisplay. We express our humble gratitude and recognize any level of support here on our list of sponsors. If you'd like to become a featured sponsor of the show, find our form at themisplay.com/sponsors. Give me a summer The Thing, Jason.
The Thing.
Sounds a lot like the movie Brazil.
Is that with Jean-Claude Van Damme?
No.
Oh, okay. Haven't seen it.
Had to watch it in college. It was a weird, dystopian-esque story. It was cool.
We've gone off the rails.
Brazil. We don't have to use that either.
Don't use any of that? What does Summer Thing sound like? All right, let me try again.